the United Nations is calling on Ethiopia's government and Tigrayan rebels to hold talks after fresh fighting erupted in the border regions of Tigray. The renewed violence, reported on Wednesday, shatters a 5-month truce and is a blow to peace efforts. It is believed to have occurred after Ethiopia's Air Force announced it had downed a plane carrying weapons for the Tigray's People's Liberation Front. The TPLF has rejected the claims. Both Ethiopia's government and TPLF in recent weeks had signaled possibility of peace talks, but they still accuse each other of undermining mediation efforts. Fighting in the region first began in November 2020. A ceasefire deal reached in March allowed for some calm to return to the region. All right, CGTN's Koleta Wanjohi now joins us live from Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. Koleta, welcome to the program. Koleta, a new round of fighting in Tigray. What's the latest and what triggered this latest fighting, Koleta?
Well, what's happening right now is a lot of uncertainty within the country, in the region where this fighting is happening, in the international community, people wondering what else will happen after this fighting, you know. So there is a lot of some people are losing hope, saying that they had some progress had been made in terms of accessing humanitarian supplies, especially into the Tigray region, where the UN says more than at least 5 million people really need this assistance. Humanitarian agencies have already shown frustration with the WFP World Food Program boss, saying that their stores in the region of Tigray have been robbed by Tigray leaders and Tigray people, and more than 570,000 liters of fuel has been taken away by force. So there is a lot of uncertainty and people really wondering what else will happen, especially for more than over 9 million people that the United Nations has said have been forced into emergency assistance since this conflict began in November 2020.
All right, Koleta, uncertainty indeed. Now, Koleta, there have been hopes that peace talks between the two sides could be held soon. How is the Ethiopian government and the international community reacting to this flare-up of violence?
Well, as you can imagine, with the fresh fighting, both the government and the other side, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the rebel group, have been blaming each other. So no one can really pin, a finger and say that this is what caused the violence, because the government says the TPLF went against the ceasefire that had been declared. The TPLF saying that the government provoked their forces and started the attack. So that's kind of creating a lot of uncertainty, and also the issue of the peace talks. I mean, it is happening at a time when the government had already even given out what it called a peace proposal towards a peaceful resolution to the whole issue. The Tigray People's Liberation Front had shown some appetite for peace talks, but now this opens up another can of mistrust that the African Union, the IGAD, we have seen all of them speaking out with one voice and saying that it's time for both factions to really have a political consensus and go back to the issue of dialogue. And as you can imagine, the United Nations has also led this and showed their concern, as the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres explains.
I am deeply shocked and saddened by the news of the resumption of hostilities in Ethiopia. Ethiopians, Tigrayans, Amaras, Oromos, Afars have already suffered too much. My strong appeal is for an immediate cessation of hostilities and for the resumption of peace talks between the government and the TPLF, with, at the same time, the full guarantee of humanitarian access to people in need and the reestablishment of public services.
So as we stand right now, what we have is probably maybe hope from people who are hoping that the peace process would happen. People are looking forward, hoping that the violence will not be protracted, you know, like we've seen in the previous situations, and people hoping that both the government and the TPLF and other factions involved will remember that there are more than 9 million people who really need assistance. So it is just a matter of time, and people looking at the north of Ethiopia and hoping that this violence will really go down with time.
Koleta Wanjohi, thanks for that. Koleta, thanks for that update. Koleta Wanjohi speaking to us live from Addis Ababa. Now, staying with Ethiopia, residents in the capital city, Addis Ababa, say the conflict in the northern part of the country needs to come to an end. Let's listen in to some of their views.
There's nothing bigger than peace. War takes lives, money, and damages the country. And then we will become a toy for anyone while we are busy killing each other. But there is a thing called give and take. If we really think about Ethiopians, if we really love our country, we shouldn't be at war. We know what war is like. We've lived through it before.
The choice should have been negotiation and peace. We saw what war did last time, and it will do the same thing again. It will just cause damage. The main thing is peace. If that doesn't work, there is nothing we can do.